From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Well, here we are, folks. Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. Thanksgiving is tomorrow. For those who are unaware of the calendar, making this a very, very short week, so we will not be I won't be doing a show tomorrow. I'll be taking the time to spend with my family and with my young newborn son, who could definitely help my wife with some taking over some of the morning hours, so she can take care of herself while I do all of the rest of the day. So with that being said, thank you for everyone who's tuning in this morning. We are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. For everyone out there, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast. We had a little technical difficulty yesterday dropping the new CISO Talk podcast. That'll be dropping today. It'll be the last podcast of the year for CISO Talk. We'll be back next year with all new content, but please go check it out. We've got over 150 interviews with CISOs on the CISO Talk podcast. You guys definitely don't want to miss it. It is a lot of fun. It's a great podcast, a lot of great conversations. Go check it out for sure. Good morning to our LinkedIn user and happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble to Mr. Rosen. Grateful that you're all here this morning. We've got a busy show in terms of some precedent that's taking place in the industry that could be hiding in plain sight. The writing's on the wall, but no one really wants to talk about it. So we're going to have that tough conversation this morning. Two of our top stories are around Apple Sues NSO Group and the lawsuit by the shareholders at SolarWinds against SolarWinds. And what does that mean to the industry as a whole? We'll talk about Thanksgiving and Black Friday phishing. What does that mean to your organizations? How do you raise awareness for that? We'll also talk about a new Android vulnerability as well. So all of that on the show today. Big shout out to KnowBe4 for their support of the show. And without their support, the show would not be possible. You can see more about KnowBe4 in our show notes. And folks, my double espresso. What are you drinking this morning? I can't start off the show without a nice, good sip of coffee. This is actually my Pete's coffee. So this is a Pete's espresso. It's pretty good. Costco has them. So whenever I'm like almost out and I haven't ordered any espresso or don't have anything, I'll buy the capsules from Costco. They're not too shabby. So coffee cup cheers. Let's get into this leading story here. Apple is suing spyware-maker NSO Group and notifying it of its because of what it does to iOS. Essentially to iOS. So Apple's filed a lawsuit against Pegasus spyware-maker NSO Group and its parent company for the targeting and spying of Apple users with surveillance tech. The company says the state-sponsored attack that used NSO spyware only targeted a very small number of individuals across multiple platforms, including iOS and Android. The exploits used to deploy NSO Group's Pegasus software were used to hack, compromise the devices of high-profile targets like government officials, diplomats, activists, descendants, academics, and journalists worldwide. For instance, NSO's forced entry exploit was used by state-backed attackers to break into Apple's devices to install the latest version of Pegasus spyware. That was according to Citizens Lab. State-sponsored actors like the NSO Group spend millions of dollars on sophisticated surveillance technologies without effective accountability. That needs to change, according to Apple's Senior Vice President of Software Engineering, Craig Federaghi. At Apple, we're always working to defend our users against even the most complex cyber attacks. And the steps we're taking today will send a clear message that it is unacceptable to weaponize powerful state-sponsored spyware against those who seek to make the world a better place. According to the Apple complaint, the defendants are notorious hackers, a moral 21st century mercenaries who have created highly sophisticated cyber surveillance machinery that invites routine and flagrant abuse to design, develop, sell, deliver, deploy, operate, and maintain offensive and destructive malware and spyware products and services that have been used to target, attack, and harm Apple users, Apple products, and Apple. For their own commercial gain, they enable their customers to abuse those products and services to target individuals, including government officials, journalists, business people, activists, academics, and even U.S. citizens, according to the Apple complaint. To prevent further abuse and harm from its users, Apple is seeking a permanent injunction to ban NSO Group from using any Apple software services and/or devices. Apple is also notifying all its users it's discovered it has to have been targeted by attackers using the forced entry exploit. The company said it will alert other users who will be targeted in state-sponsored spyware attacks in the future in accordance with industry best practices. So Facebook's also sued the NSO Group for their WhatsApp zero-day. This is significant. I'm not going to continue reading the story, but let's talk a little bit about what this really means. So Apple's essentially taken it to NSO and saying, you're developing offensive cybersecurity weapons against our platforms, against our users. We want that to stop now. Does the court really have jurisdiction over an international company? Meaning, could a U.S. court where this lawsuit is filed actually go to a company that's based out of Israel, Cyprus, I think, and a few other places and say, you can no longer access the Apple software? I find that what they're asking for is a little bit harder to prove. The other part here that they talk about in the complaint is that they develop, sell, deliver, deploy, operate, and maintain. And the operate and maintain are two things we have not seen from NSO Group. We've seen them develop, sell, and deliver. I haven't seen them operate and maintain. So they're going to have to actually prove that. So if you develop and I'm guessing this is going to be kind of like the precedent in our industry. This will be the case law around cybersecurity research, offensive cybersecurity weapons, the future of deterrence from an organizational perspective. This case has a lot on the line, and a lot of it is precedent. A lot of it is policy. A lot of it has to do with the fact that if Apple's able to prove NSO did this deliberately, then there's hell to pay, and NSO should pay that price. But if NSO's business model is we develop cyber weapons no different than Lockheed that develops a missile. And you can say all you want about the missile, but at the end of the day, you can't go to Lockheed and be like, it's your fault that this person died because you developed the missile. The lawsuit is misrepresented in a few ways. They should have also sued some of the governments that have used this software to at least subpoena them to get records to depose them. They didn't do that because politically Apple won't do that. But this is a very interesting case, and we'll be monitoring it closely here. I'm really interested in this one. We'll also talk about the SolarWinds investor lawsuit. Not a whole lot of information in the lawsuit against SolarWinds that was filed earlier this month by two pension funds that invested in the company, but it does raise a slew of questions. Is it possible that lawsuits like this one could help shed some light on exactly what went wrong at the company? Meaning, could the depositions from this lawsuit actually give us insight into what really went wrong today? We already know that there were a bunch of lacks in security, and meaning like just general cyber hygiene. We know that from Vineet Kumar, who emailed the company about their password being publicly available in 2019. But these are investors and shareholders. And these are people who are telling the company, hey, what the heck is going on? And your lack of, kind of cyber hygiene is causing us to lose money. There's been no explicit connection. No explicit connection has been made tying the infiltration of the company's update servers to its staff or resources in all of these different countries, like Romania, Belarus, Poland, and the Czech Republic. The recent complaint alleges that this offshoring was dangerous because countries that were formerly part of the Soviet Union or Eastern Bloc are well known to present a heightened risk from Russian operatives that pose a threat to American interest. So you're going to have to prove that in the lawsuit, right? A lot of people offshore, and we offshore countries in Eastern Europe. And I would be remiss to think that every single one of them could be a Russian operative. I think that's a stretch here at best. The question is, what did they do with the resources? Were they doing background checks? Were they limiting access? What access did the people in those countries have and not have? And again, all of this could come to light with this type of lawsuits. And these types of lawsuits could be significant and strategic overall to insight as cybersecurity practitioners into what's really going on. I'm following this one as well, and I'm waiting to see what the deposition is going to come out with. I think the depositions are going to be significant here. Once they start talking to people from within SolarWinds, we're going to get some of the stuff that we typically don't get from a PR statement. So keep your eyes out for this one. It's going to be significant. We'll wrap up today's show with a few of these stories. So the FBI is warning of phishing targeting high-profile brands' customers. The FBI says that cyber criminals are on the move ahead of this very, very busy holiday season that's expected to kind of be the make or break for our economy. For those who just strictly follow cyber, one of the biggest things around this holiday season is if it's unbelievable, it'll probably bounce back the economy in the first quarter. If it's not, we could be facing a recession towards the mid to end of the first quarter as companies' financial results don't meet their potential targets for growth based on economic factors. Knowing that, cyber criminals are out there trying to take advantage of it. And this specific quarter, it's even more critical than ever before. Brand phishing defenses are going to be significant. You're going to be looking at people trying to get you to buy stuff from Amazon, Walmart, Target, Samsung, Apple, and so forth with really suspicious sales. It'd be wise today for every single cybersecurity practitioner to send out an email, just Black Friday best practices, and let your staff know and make it friendly so that they can pass it on. Be very mindful of that. I'm sure the FBI and CISO will be monitoring, as well as some of those bigger brands who understand that they could be used as part of this. But it's very, very difficult for a lot of people to know the difference. We are in security, so by all means, we know this, but most of the people we deal with don't. So keep your eye out for this as you head into the shopping weekend here with Black Friday and Cyber Monday coming up right around the corner. And finally, APT-C23 are using a new Android spyware variant to target Middle East users. This one, significant. Again, it's a Android spyware with enhanced capabilities that makes it stealthier and more persistent while passing off seemingly innocuous app updates to stay under the radar. And a new variant, which incorporates new features into malicious apps that make them more resilient to actions by users who might try to remove them manually, and to security and web hosting companies that attempt to block access to or shut down their command and control servers. A bunch of different monikers for this spyware, including Desert Scorpion, GNAT Spy, and Frozen Cell. That's been the preferred choice for APT-C23. We're starting to see them target countries in the Middle East, and something to keep your eye on if you're in that part of the world. Folks, we break today with a little Thanksgiving message. It's that time of year where we're all grateful and thankful. And over the last 21 months or so, we've all had a various set of challenges. Well, take this next few days to be very thankful to the people in your lives, to your family, to your friends, to your loved ones, to your significant others, and enjoy Thanksgiving for what it is. An awesome holiday where we get to sit back and reflect and spend time with our loved ones that sometimes we don't often do. I know travel is back. Speaking to my travel partners, I've heard a lot of people say, yeah, we're super swamped this today, tomorrow with people traveling for Thanksgiving. So travel safe. Be safe. We'll be back on Monday with more. And the CISO Talk with Tomas Maldonado, the CISO over at the NFL, will drop later today. Until then, happy Thanksgiving to all. We'll be back with holly jolly holiday season stuff coming on Monday so we can wrap up 2021, hopefully better than we did 2020. Till then, great rest of your day. Happy Thanksgiving and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast